Terence Crawford thinks he only has 2 more fights before he retires, and he loses it when he finds out he's being forced to a rematch with Errol Spence. James Toney sees a rematch between the 2 superstars going about the same way as the first fight did, and he stated, "I think Crawford is too much for Spence, but we'll find out. We'll never know until they're in that ring. I'm not being biased. Crawford is the better fighter. He's fought the better competition. People say that Spence has, but I don't see it. I see a late round stoppage, knockout. Spence has never dealt with anyone who's just as fast as he is and who hits harder than he does. I love Sean Porter, but Crawford beat the brakes off him." Eddie Hearn definitely thinks that there's going to be problems for one fighter, and he stated, "Without taking anything away from Terence Crawford's performance, there are starting to be a few miles on the clock for Spence, whether it's lifestyle, retina, or car crash, whether it's tough fights, and that kind of fight last time would do some more to take some extra miles off the tank. I think he'd be stronger at 154. He's been at 147 a long time, but I still think Terence Crawford is the big favorite in that fight. I don't think it's a fight people are clamoring for, so I think you're going to have to find something to get Spence off the pan for that rematch." Meanwhile, people are calling for Terence to fight Jerome Ennis first instead, since he ended up with Terence's stripped IBF belt. Bozy Ennis thinks that Jerome has more skills than Terence, and he stated, "I want to show them that we're on another level. You gotta understand this, Boots is stronger and has more attributes than Terence does. We got a lot of weapons that you haven't seen yet, a lot of different ways to fight certain people. One thing about him, he had so much heart and he was a good fighter. People have to give him his accolades. Villa was a good fighter. I don't see too many guys in the 140-pound division that could beat that guy." Jerome Ennis was actually leaning towards Spence beating Crawford the first time around, and he thought that the fight was going to be much closer.
That's a good fight, 50-50 fight. Honestly, it's going to come down who in the best shape and who hungrier. I don't know who going to win, but I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards towards Spence. I feel like Spence got something to prove, and I feel like a lot of people like doubting him a little bit. But like I said before, you don't know until fight night. May the best man win. Hopefully we get that winner.
When getting to that level, is it like the little things that put you, over the to get the W?
Terence doesn't care about that though, and he still thinks that he's the best in the 147 division. Terence stated, "Oh yeah, in the future definitely, when Terence Crawford leaves the division, but right now Terence Crawford is the ultimate of all ultimates in the division." Kenny Porter doesn't really think that a fight between Jerome Ennis and Terence Crawford is very realistic though. Kenny stated, "I believe a guy like Jerome Ennis would provide a big challenge for him, absolutely, no doubt. I just think about the risk and reward with Boots. The risk is greater than the reward for Bud, and now Bud should be rewarded in everything he does. Boots is a very, very talented guy, a guy that has a lineage in boxing. His dad and his brothers were professional fighters. He's got a family of fighters behind him. Everyone is a piece in that puzzle that makes Jerome Ennis. On Terence's end, just me from a business standpoint, it doesn't look like it would be Terence's fight for me. It's not a winning situation. He beats this young guy. He was supposed to. If he doesn't, and it doesn't go his way, Terence is 36 now. He's not 26. So by him getting to his pinnacle late in his career, he's got to make decisions that are based on what's good for Terence and are advantages for Terence, not disadvantages in age or disadvantages in size. Terence has always thought that a fight with Jerome would be a lose-lose situation for him.
Boots is the mandatory. He's calling you out now.
Right now in my career, a lot of people like boost this, boost that, boost this. Fighting Boots is a lose-lose situation. I win, they're gonna say, "Oh, well, he was young, he wasn't ready." You got the experience over him. You got so much more than this kid that never been tested before, because we always seen him win a fashionate way, to where we say, "Oh man, he's cold, he's skillful," but he's never been in the ring with nobody to test him. Me fighting Boots, not a mega fight. I'm looking for a big challenge. Not taking anything away from Boots, but where I am at in my career right now, all my off to get to where I am. And I deserve to do whatever the I want.
As for Errol Spence's side of things, many people thought that he was weight drained in his last fight with Crawford, and Brian McIntyre definitely thinks that it was Derek James' fault. Brian stated, "I would say that is an excuse. Again, he had to weigh in the same weight as Bud. He knew about the fight months before, so, if he was weight drained, that's just bad coaching on Derek James' part. We all had the right amount of time to prepare for this fight. I'm not looking for any excuses or anything of that nature. Errol had no excuses, everybody else did." Derek James assured fans and rivals that it wasn't Errol's issue during the fight, and he promised that Spence would be better than ever in the rematch. Derek stated, "You'll see him in the rematch. He won't be so drained and he won't be so depleted or whatever. That wasn't the issue. Crawford fought a good fight. Crawford had a great game plan, right? So you're talking about Crawford's coach. He was the better guy that day. I don't know anything about it, nothing. That part about the weight class, I'm sure they already signed that or whatever, but I don't know anything about that either." Even Shane Mosley thought that Errol looked weak in his first fight with Terence, and he thought there might be something that he needed to work on. Shane stated, "I wasn't expecting that to go that way. I thought Spence had a little bit more power and a little bit more energy to him. I did think Crawford was going to win, but I didn't think he was going to win like that. But looking at the fight and watching how Spence was moving around, I think that he was very weak. I know that people say, oh, that's an excuse. No, that's not an excuse. I would expect a better fight out of Spence. I would expect a better fight out of both of them. Mentally, I don't think he was there all the way. This fight could have hurt Spence, being that he got stopped and took a lot of shots. So we don't know how this fight took a toll on him either. We'll see what happens." Floyd Mayweather thought that Errol should be moving up more than one weight class. Floyd stated, "I want the best for Spence. If I was training him or I was in his corner, I don't think he should be fighting at 147 pounds at all. I don't think he should be fighting at 154 pounds. I think he should be fighting at 160 pounds or 168 pounds." Sean Porter thinks that people need to look at both fighters' resumes closer.
This is what I think about resumes, and especially when it comes to these two fighters specifically, because they got a lot of the common opponents.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But the day that they fought these opponents is what's uncommon. Mm-hmm. And so you can pick who you want to pick, and I fought him, and he had I broke both eyes, and then you fought all this and that. Bottom line is, a lot of fighters aren't who they are on Tuesday. They're not that same fighter on Saturday.
You are absolutely
That's the
right.
bottom line.
So what about you?
What I'm saying is exactly who I was against Crawford was not who I was against Spence. Ain't taking nothing from Crawford, and ain't taking nothing from Spence whatsoever. But for me, my situation was all internal.
Okay.
That was that I took to the ring. That I just, and when I had that moment, we seen the towel come in, because that was the moment that was expected, for the sake of words, whatever the case may be.
Terence knows that his rematch with Spence is going to happen now, and he made it one of his last two fights in his career plan. Terence stated, "Listen, like I said, Jerome is in one place and I'm in another. I'm looking for mega fights right now, and right now, that's not a mega fight. That's my standpoint on it. I'm looking to fight guys like Canelo. That's pretty much it, man, and a rematch with Spence, and that's it. That's over with for me." If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and check out some of our other videos on the screen right now.